VRBO.com is a great source for finding leads. Every property you see on this website is already being rented out, which is great. What's difficult though is that the addresses for these properties are not usually provided. We got to do some digging to find them, and that's what this video is for. So in this video I'm going to show you a few different scenarios and how to find addresses in each scenario. Let's get started. So every listing on VRBO.com is separated into several different sections which can be navigated using this bar right here underneath the pictures. So in this first example we're going to click location. Here we are in Truckee, California, and this map gives us an approximate location of the property. The green house icon is going to show us specifically where. So as we zoom in, we see not only the streets of this area, but also geometric shapes that represent the houses. In this case, the green house icon is right on this one rectangle in particular, which is ideal. Normally in Google Maps, I would just left-click this rectangle and I would get an address. But VRBO.com has disabled that feature. So what we need to do is find this location in a separate tab in our own Google Map, where this feature is not disabled. So we already know this is in Truckee, California, and here we see the cross streets Olympic Boulevard and Florestan Court. So all we do is go into our own tab, type in Olympic Boulevard, Florestan Court, Truckee, CA. Hopefully that looks familiar. As we zoom in, we see a friendly, familiar looking rectangle. Let's double check to make sure that's our guy. Yep. So we do a slow left click, and there's our address. It's not disabled in our map, so we have the address 10,046 Florestan Court, Truckee, California. Success. In our second example, I'm going to show you that VRBO.com's maps are not always that cooperative. So here I click location for a new listing, also in Truckee, and there's our green house icon. But as we zoom in, this time he's kind of floating in between a few different rectangles. So we know what street it's on, but not which property in particular. So you could do guess and check work in your own Google map, but that's going to be time consuming. And on this listing, there's a better option. So let's use all the information we have here. And I'm going to take a look at the pictures. Right there is what we're looking for. That's the house number. So we already know this is on Palisade Street in Truckee, California, and there's our street number, 12922. Success. Alright, example number 3. So we just saw that we should always have our eyes open with these listings. You never know where you're going to find the exact answer, and it's good to have an open mind. Earlier in this video I said that the addresses are not going to be listed usually, and that is true. But sometimes they are. Here, right in the property description, is the address. 10,644 Pinecone Drive, Truckee, California. So keep an open mind. We could have just spent a few minutes checking the location on the map, looking through all the pictures, but it's not always necessary. Sometimes it's right there, right beneath your nose. Last example. So here I'm going to show the worst possible outcome on VRBO.com when you click location, and that is the gray circle of doom. So zooming in is not going to help here. We do not have a greenhouse icon. All we know is that the house is somewhere in this circle. But I always like to think of each lead as a puzzle, and you can find information using the other pieces that you have. So sometimes we find an owner by using the address, but sometimes we can find the address by finding the owner. And just like how the address is not always going to be listed, the owner is not always going to be listed on VRBO.com either, but sometimes they are. So if we just look right below this map here, there's the owner info, and there's the owner's names, Chris and Tara Stauber. So I've explored Intellius in a previous video, but we're just going to use it to demonstrate the concept I'm talking about here. So I click over to this Intellius tab, type in Chris Stauber in Truckee, California. Make sure I'm signed in. And there's our guy. There's only one result, and there's our address in Truckee, California. 11,270 Teal-Inn Drive, Truckee, California. So we can double check that using this map. Is there a Teal-Inn Drive in the gray circle of doom? Yes, there is. Teal-Inn Drive. So that is indeed our man, and that's our last lead. So what I want to kind of demonstrate in this video is that there are several different ways to find an address in VRBO.com. Use the map, use the pictures, keep an open eye, and with some practice, you'll know what you're looking for. There's a lot of information on every listing. Not all of it's relevant, but the answer could be anywhere. So again, keep an open eye, and happy hunting.